Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to this Pharmacy with Purpose podcast with me, your host, Joe Kanema.
To a pharmacy. We are here to serve, here to serve.
Right, on our first episode, we're going to be talking about uh, how can a pharmacy student be effective, or what does it take to have to be an effective pharmacy student. So, for our first episode, I'm joined by a good friend of mine. He's a pharmacy intern at the University Teaching Hospital, internal medicine. His name is Lucky Monsaka. So, we're going to be chatting everything surrounding, how what things can you consider before joining or enrolling into a pharmacy school, and just everything that is in between as you also graduate to be to practice out there. So I'm joined by a good friend of mine. Lucky, welcome to this podcast.
No, thank you, Mr. Kanema. And it's a privilege to be here and to be considered the first person to be interviewed. It's such an honor to me as a young profession in this profession of pharmacy. And I believe that the insights I'll be able to bring to the table would be able to help would be pharmacy personnel in the future.
Oh, that's great. And how have you been, man? How have you been? So it's been a while. How have you
Yeah,
been?
it's been crazy. It's been crazy. Yeah, it's been crazy. Today I just received a surprise birthday cake. Earlier this week was my birthday, and today I was surprised before you came through. So it has been awesome. It has
That's
been
great.
awesome.
That's
It has
great.
been awesome.
It's good to
Yeah.
see you, man.
Yeah.
I think before we get into the real issue that we're going to be talking about, I just want to find out, because we're in this season, we're in this time of COVID-19.
Yeah,
Everybody's talking about it and what's happening around. I just wanted to find out what you're doing at the University Teaching Hospital in this time of the COVID-19. How are you, as pharmacists at UTH? How are you contributing to the fight, to the prevention of COVID-19?
Okay. Thank you so much. Um, as you might be aware, the University Teaching Hospitals is the biggest health institution in our country. And as UTH, specifically Adult Hospital where I'm based, we are doing great things and mighty things towards, especially when it comes to the fight of COVID 19. Just to mention one of them is that we making hand sanitizers that is to be used within the facility in order to ensure that our patients, even the healthcare providers, are able to sanitize their hands in between as they are seeing patients or as they are touching various equipments in the hospitals. And the other thing that we are doing as UTH pharmacy department is that we are providing guidance, and we are also ensuring that there is a consistent supply of the essential medicine within the facility. And also we are ensuring, or we are at the centermost of the logistics system of these PPEs for the health workers to ensure that there is maximum protection against the virus. So there are a number of things that we are engaged in at UTH, but just to mention a few, these are some of the things. Masks, mention them. We are at the center of it as the UTH pharmacy department.
That's so great to hear, and I think it's also a good thing that we provide our relevance as a profession and just be able to provide that service, and that's very good to hear. So I just want to take you back to before, because I understand that you first went to Evenhorn College,
Yes.
you did your diploma, and then after that you then went to upgrade and went to Lusaka Apex Medical University. But I just want to take you back before Evenhorn College. Have you always were you always interested in doing pharmacy? Because unlike me, I think for me pharmacy was my, like, I think third option.
Third option.
Yeah, you know, I first wanted to do economics. I applied at UNZA, but I wasn't picked. So I applied at CBU. I wasn't picked. So for me, I almost missed pharmacy. You know, so I don't know about you. Has it always been your interest to do pharmacy?
Interesting enough is that pharmacy has never been my option, like the number one option. And it will be interesting to note that even after completing my high school, I only got to hear about pharmacy when I was a school leaver. It's not something that was like number one on my list. Personally, I wanted to be an engineer, and an engineer in the sense that I wanted to be involved in aviation kind of engineering. I was always fascinated about how planes move, operate, and everything. So I wanted to involve myself in that area. And I remember while I was still in high school, I would go to see some individuals that were involved in the area of engineering just to get some insight if I was able to get into that industry. But sometimes what we wish for is not usually what we get.
I know, right?
Yeah, so 2011, I remember my uncle, I don't know if you can call him my uncle, my grandfather. He's the one that told me about pharmacy, and they were like, no, pharmacy is a good course. And once you get into pharmacy, you'll be able to build up yourself nicely and everything. So they talked to me like that, and I think I was intrigued, and I decided to apply at Evelyn Hon College. Yeah,
that's great. That's great to hear. Tell me about your feeling when you got the acceptance letter. Because I remember when I got my acceptance letter, I think I wasn't around by that time. My sister went to get it for me. And I remember the acceptance letter stayed, you know, for like a few weeks, you know, and I never really touched it, you know. I wasn't really, that excited. Yeah. Tell me about your experience. Were you excited to?
I think mine was mixed with a bit of disappointment, if I may put it that way. Because I remember very well, I was called that my acceptance letter was ready. So I went to Evelyn Hon College admissions office only to find that it wasn't there. And everyone in the admission office seemed blank, and they're like, no, you are not picked. So now, you know, I had that disappointment. So I remember that then I decided to go and see the HCC, the head of section for pharmacy, and said, I was called that I was picked for this course. Now I'm being told by the admissions that my acceptance letter is not there. So I remember the HCC then wrote for me a slip, and I took it to admissions office, and within a short time the acceptance letter came on, and I was excited, and I was looking forward to getting into the field of pharmacy and seeing what it had in store for me.
And now you love it, huh?
Now I love it, but I remember first year I never loved it. It was hell. It was hell in first year, but now I can humbly say that there is that interaction, or I would say there's intimacy between me and pharmacy now.
I can attest to that. I think even for me now, you know, I just find like I don't know what I would have done, you know, apart from pharmacy. I feel that I was made to do pharmacy, and I'm so happy that I eventually, you know, got enrolled.
You know, there's a way that God puts everything, because the Bible even says that all things work together for good to them. So even then, maybe we had these issues like, no, why am I doing pharmacy? I'm supposed to be doing some other things. But God had His own way, and through pharmacy, you and me are friends.
You know, we've been friends for a long time. Yeah. And just to talk about that, you know, just tell me about, you know, after you got enrolled, and how was your experience, you know, as a first time, you know, student, you know, you want to do pharmacy. I know there's that pressure because, you know, people tell you pharmacy is difficult, you know, you really need to put in so much to get results, and so as you were going into to study pharmacy at Evelyn Hon College, did you feel the pressure, and how did you handle the pressure, if at all there was such a pressure, you know, with school, with you know, just
in general?
In general,
I think in the first year of my pharmacy at Cleveland Home College, I would attest that it was hard. It was hard, having, I think, if memory serves me well, we had about 11 courses. And that was hell. And I was coming from this background of, we had that year, a free year, the school leaving, then we started school a year after finishing school. So it was like you're trying to get back into the realms of school, and it was a bit hard. It was very hard. Even my grades, if you look at them in first year, you would notice that they were just average. It was hard. And how I handled the pressure, I just used to forge ahead because I never wanted to, obviously, disappoint my parents. So I would put in as much as I can, but I think I tried my best, but it was hard. It was hard and stressful.
Yeah. So tell me about, at diploma level. I know because the content is different from, when you're studying for a degree. But what sort of material? I know there could be, a diploma student who might be listening or watching this, and they want to really know what material they're supposed to familiarize themselves with, and what they're supposed to read, and how they can go about that. If you were to advise them to what material and what content, and how they can study, prepare for exams, what advice would you give them?
So if I get your question clearly, so we are talking about a diploma order that is in school.
That
right
is,
now, in school, studying pharmacy, accepted in the school of pharmacy. When it comes to my materials, I think one thing I've learned in my university and college life is that first of all, you have to define who you are. You have to define who you are. That is number one, because what worked for me cannot work for you. So you have to first discover who you are. You have to discover, how do you study as an individual? Do you need to zero the night for you to get a concept, or are you those people that just needs maybe a few seconds and you grasp the concept?
Because we had guys who would study the whole night
and you still get the same results. Yes.
And there's the guys who would study for
so
an hour
and still get the concept. So I think
in terms of exams, how does a pharmacy student prepare for exams?
That's an interesting question. I think it's not even an issue for pharmacy, but I think for all the courses that an individual is doing, preparation for an exam is usually a challenge. And there are a lot of theories, there are a lot of motivational speakers that would speak to you about how best you can pass your exam. But I think the most important thing that we need to narrow down is that you have to first know who you are. Like, you have to know yourself, because the way that I grasp things is not the same way that you grasp things. So you have to really define who you are. Are you a student that gets the concept from class, or are you a student that gets the concept after the class, or are you the student that can just study on his or her own and able to get the concept? So these are some of the questions that you need to answer. So let's narrow down on one example. Let's say I am a student that gets the concept after a class and I study for an hour. So meaning that, obviously, if I want to prepare for an exam, I have to watch, or I have to have a lecture. Then after a lecture, then I have to study for an hour. So I mean that if I don't not do the study for an hour, I mean that I'm not going to get the information that is needed. So that is number one. So first, know yourself. Then number two, something that would help you not to study amiss is familiarize yourself with the kind of questions that are usually asked in that course. For example, you do not have to have the exact question, but just have an idea about a certain topic. How would questions be phrased? And study in that direction, so that even no matter how the question is going to be phrased, you're able to answer it well, because you had an idea on how a question is phrased. I think those are some of the things that you need to know in order to prepare for an exam.
Okay. And just also what happens around, I think, you're this student, and then you write your final exams, as a diploma student, and then you pass your exams and you graduate. What what are the things that do you look? What things do you look for? As you are going into the world to practice.
To practice.
What are the things should someone look for? As a
If you want to practice, I think a lot, and I think most of us, when we finished our diploma training, we were so excited and were eager to go out and work. And some of the things that I feel you should look out for is you have to set your value as an individual. Okay, we as a pharmacy technologist then, when we finished school, I would attest to the fact that we had offers. We had offers from foreigners and from our local businesses that are within our vicinity. And the offers that they were giving us were quite minimal from what we were expecting.
Yeah.
So I think as a graduate, you have to set a value for yourself, make a standard, and say, okay, this is the salary scale on the ground, and you have to market yourself with that salary scale. Because remember, when you are going for an interview, the way you are going to handle the interview, the way you are going to answer the questions in the interview, definitely they're going to ask you what do you expect, what salary do you expect. So if you give them a minimal salary, they'll give you that. So as a graduate, I would advise you to not just be too excited, to not be too anxious. Be professional in whatever you're going to do, and always value and add value and put value to yourself. So I think that is the value addition is the most important component. As a new graduate, you have to be a person of value, of integrity, everything.
Also, I think that in the time that we're living in, I think when you and I were graduating, you remember those days? When you and I were graduating, and there were a few offers here and there, because I remember like would go in town, like from pharmacy to pharmacy,
just looking for a job.
And in a day or two you'll be able to find a job. Yeah. But I think now the environment is different because the market is saturated. It seems to be. I don't know whether I'm right or not. The market seems to be saturated because the government is not absorbing so much, and so you find that most of the farm techs are in retail pharmacies, and there seems to be that saturation.
Okay. Before you go further, allow me to mention that the practice of pharmacy is not only restricted to GRZ or the government in absorbing people in. That is what we call hospital pharmacy. And so you find that the discipline of pharmacy is quite vast. So we have industrial, we have retail, we have academics, we have a number of things, toxicology, and mention them. There are a lot of fields that you can engage in. I think that the challenge that we have with our graduate or with our school system is that once you are in school as a pharmacist or as a pharmacy technologist, you are trained to be absorbed by the government. And if the government does not absorb you, then that becomes a problem. So you think as if the system is saturated. But in that sense, you find that in some areas of the society, our presence is not being felt. Why? Because we are trying to restrict ourselves to one employer. So what I would say to that graduate is that the system or the society is not saturated. You just have to maximize the opportunities available for you. Number one, we have an industry that was recently opened in Zambia, that is Yash Pharmaceuticals. They opened a manufacturing plant. That is another area that us pharmacy technologists or pharmacists should explore. Let us not only restrict ourselves to hospital setup. And this is some of the reason why you find that when you go into the retail pharmacy, you'll find that people are getting peanuts. Why? Because we are acting desperate. Pharmacy is a noble profession, for your information. Let us act as such, because that's the only way we are going to get the value that we need.
Speaking about pharmacy being a noble profession, because I remember when we finished and we started working, but I always felt like I always needed to go a step further, and it's always important to upgrade yourself, and so for a pharmacy technologist, who wants to, just to add, value to the paper that they already have, if they want to go and do their degree, what advice do you have for such a person, uh, in terms of, because I remember when we were doing, it was so difficult economically. It was
Yeah,
this
yeah.
hardship because you're working and then you need to. So, what advice do you need to give them? How do they prepare for that if they want to upgrade?
Before they, if they want to upgrade. Ah, what advice? I think you need to be to be ready to be committed to school, and you need to make sure that you put in the time that is needed for you to attain that paper that you need. Because using my own experience when I decided to upgrade, it was a time that I didn't even have a study leave, so it was something that I was doing work and school at the same time. So it was a bit.
And that's so hard.
Yeah, it is. Trust me, it is. I remember I would leave home at 6 and I'd be home at 22. That was my life on a daily basis. So you would find that you need to find time. So now imagine if, okay, for instance, I'm not saying anything bad about people that are married and everything, but I want to say if you're a young profession and you are planning to upgrade, I would love you to do your upgrade while you're still young. Do not wait for 5, 10 years for you to upgrade, because it will become a struggle for you to juggle family, school, and work. It will become stressful. But if you are young, I would advise do it now. If that is your plan, do it now. Do not wait for a time when you have kids. It will be a bit of a struggle. Because you remember it was hell. It was hell. You're at work, class is starting, and you're still at work. So you had to rush to class
It
and
was so
everything.
hard because
Yeah.
you have to maximize every opportunity that you
Yeah.
have, and you really have to divide your time properly.
Mhm.
And with we'll come to that as well. Like how because I remember when we were at school, you've got so many things going around, and then sometimes school can be so hard.
No,
Like
not school can be
it
so
can
hard.
be so
School
hard.
is
Like
hard.
pharmacokinetics, you have pharmacognosy.
Yeah.
Pharmacognosy was hell for me. But you remember, how it used to be, and you really have to find time. And just talking about how do you manage your time. For instance, you're upgrading and you're working, you're married, and maybe you're doing a part-time job, and then you have all these difficult courses that you need to do,
study.
to study. How do you just maximize your time?
How do you maximize the time? I think that's $1 billion question. How do you maximize your time? Okay, so using my own experience, I think the most important thing is you have to set goals, and you have to set priorities, and you have to define your life. Okay, so imagine I'm working, I have a part-time job, I have a wife at home, and I need to do school and work. So in that scenario, is that everything that you need to do, you have to put a goal. So for you to go to school and upgrade, which means you have put yourself at a goal, and you are saying that at the end of this period, I need to have a degree in pharmacy. So that is your goal. So after you set that goal, you have to now put in deliberate measures to see how am I going to achieve me, as now do I achieve getting that the paper. So if you have, everybody has got 24 hours in a day, for example. So if you're going to say, okay, fine, this is me. I would say in the morning when I wake up, I'll wake up at 05. Obviously, you do your shower and everything, you go for work. Then probably you knock off at 14 or 15 or 16. Then when you knock off at 16, you rush to school, to school. You learn up to somewhere at 20. So when you go back home, now the time from the time you knock off to the time you're about to sleep, that is most important, because you need to divide your time. So you need to put time for yourself, you need to relax, you need to rest, then you have to also put time that you need to study. That is very important. So which means once you put the time and say, okay, I'll be studying at 23 hours up to maybe midnight, then you have to be committed to that time. And you have to put time that is realistic. You have to put time that you know that in this time you are able to grasp the information that you need. And any time that you are free at work, from me, what I used to do is that on lunch, during lunch hour, how would I, instead of me going out for lunch, that would be the time I'll be studying, like going through stuff, going through notes that we learned the previous day, or going through notes that you're about to learn the very day. So it's all about maximizing every moment that you have. So if you have free time, if your lunch is 1 hour 30 minutes, reduce it to 30 minutes. Donate the 1 hour to study, just like that. So that's how I made it through school. I had to make certain sacrifices. I had to cut certain social events. And I'm not saying you cut social events, they're very important, but but the social events very important. I'd love to mention it. Always enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
No matter how hard life is, always find time to have fun. Very important.
That's and that's so important. Just the fact that you have to relax and because school can really get just it can get to you and it can affect your grades. And I think one of the things that I remember was difficult for me. I think when we were at Apex was research. For me, I think research was really difficult.
Yeah.
And I had a challenge, trying to find a topic that I would research on, because the challenging thing is that you need to find something of relevance. And I know now it's so hard and difficult because it doesn't really, the important thing is you need to find something that's going to add value even to the profession. So just speaking about research, how did you just come up with the topic?
Yeah, research. No, just thinking
I
about
know.
research gives me some memories, some nightmares.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, I think even before you even choose the topic, people always tell you always have to find something that is relevant to the profession. And I think as an undergraduate, the emphasis on relevance is there, but I don't think it's much appreciated. Because you would find that as students, as undergraduate research proposals, you would find that you would go through the hell difficulties with your supervisors and everything. And you find that sometimes when you want to publish your time, maybe your supervisor says you cannot publish this and stuff like that. And maybe the market, I don't know, maybe the funding and everything. So it's a way, it's a totally different topic. But for now, I would say, how did I come up with my research topic? One of the key to finding a very good research topic is that you have to find your strength. I tried to go outside and looked at research topics in retail, in communities, in public health, but I couldn't find a topic that I could relate to. So after sitting down, I decided to think, and I was like, okay, fine. I work at UTH. I work under the Department of Internal Medicine, and I was like, which area do I have strength in? And I discovered that I had strength in tuberculosis. I'm like, oh,
That's your best.
So I was like, I had strength in tuberculosis, and I was like, okay, what is a gap in tuberculosis? Then I was like, okay, there is a bit of a gap in MDR, and I think from there, that's how the development of my topic came through. So it's all about identifying the area that you have strength in, and try and cultivate it and find a gap and find the solution in that area.
That's so great to hear. And now that you did your diploma, you went to university, now you're an intern pharmacist. And how is internship going, by the way?
Internship, yeah, internship is going on well, despite the struggles, but it's going on well, and just a bit of challenges. As an intern, you are left to do most of the things, and they're expecting you to know most of the things. So it's really a struggle for you to juggle the theory that you learned in school and now the practice, because now you are a professional and you have to provide this quality care to these patients, and you need to show that you're a pharmacist. So it's a bit of a struggle, but internship in general, it's going on well. It's going on well.
As we wrap this, I just want to find out, now that you've been through all this, and now you are intern pharmacist going on to be pharmacist, uh, what advice would you have for someone who's considering you know joining pharmacy, or wanting to study pharmacy? What advice would you have for such a person? Are they making the right decision?
I think choices are always a challenge. Choices are always a challenge. But one thing I would advise a would-be pharmacists or pharmacy technologists is that doing pharmacy is one of the best decisions one could ever make. Okay? Because pharmacy is vast, the areas of practice are vast, and you can find an area that suits you. And pharmacy, I'd love to make it clear now, pharmacy is all about ensuring that the patients get the most effective and efficient drugs and get the best pharmaceutical care. And this should be a goal of any would-be pharmacist or pharmacy technologist. It's not all about making the money. It's not all about once you get into pharmacy, you're going to open up your own pharmacy business. It is far beyond that. It is all about ensuring efficient pharmaceutical care to the patient. So I would advise you, if you're planning to do pharmacy, this is the time, make the decision. It's a right choice, and you will never go wrong. And trust me, you will enjoy the journey.
So nice to have you on this
No, thank you.
first episode.
Yeah, looking forward to be back here. I'll be looking forward for the next
We'll
call.
be looking forward to
Yeah.
having you again. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, sir.
To a pharmacy, we are here to serve, serve, serve.